I have uploaded 119 episodes of my podcast, and I'm going to share with you guys everything that I have learned about discipline. For those of you guys that are new or maybe don't know, my name is Elon Gelfand. I am the host of the podcast Abundant Thinking. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this on. If you are listening to this on YouTube, just know you can find all 119 episodes on the main platforms. I know my YouTube isn't exactly structured in a way that you can see all 119 because a lot of my episodes earlier on were audio only. So go check those out. And yeah, today we're talking about all things discipline. I am a 20-year-old college student at this time. I started my podcast when I was 18, almost exactly 2 years ago in December. So it's October 11th when I'm recording this, but in December it's going to be 2 years. I made a contract with myself. Every single week I was going to upload one episode on Tuesday for at least 2 years before I even question if it's for me or not. The number one thing I want to say right off the bat is discipline is something that has become a muscle for me. And what I mean by that is when I first started, it was very hard for me to stay consistent. And I had to learn that discipline is something that you can improve on, but also it's something that mentally you get stronger with. What I mean by this is I used to do a lot of things to not upload my podcast, even though I knew it's like, okay, listen, it's Saturday, I got to record an episode for Tuesday. I would procrastinate and I would push it off and I'd always say, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can do it." And I would barely make it sometimes. I would barely make Tuesday 8 a.m. But now, and I even have more habits that I do, and I've noticed the same thing about discipline. So I've been reading 10 pages every day for about 4 months now. Same thing, I'll take at the end. This is kind of more random, but I've noticed when I end my showers with a cold shower, I feel more energized and kind of more alert. So I'll finish my showers with like a cold shower or a cold last 15, 30 seconds, whatever. Nothing crazy. But what I've noticed is I've realized discipline is something that you accept. You accept the fact that, okay, listen, today I'm going to wake up and I have to read 10 pages. It's not something that's like, yeah, but like later, or like, I don't really want to do it. It's like, listen, no matter what, in 24 hours, I'm going to be 10 pages richer, right? If you guys aren't listening to this on video, I'm doing air quotes. You're going to be 10 pages richer. You're going to read 10 more pages. I'm going to take one more shower where I end with a cold shower. It's something that you accept. And something that is such a simple concept, but I've kind of blew me away is how much of an impact it makes over time. 10 pages seems like nothing in the short term, but over the long term, it makes the biggest difference in the world. I read 10 pages every day, and I've done it for 4 months. Every month, I read about 300 pages. I've read 1,200 pages in the past 4 months. I finished a lot of books, and I finished more books than I have in a couple of years for sure, right? And it's become something that I've learned to accept, and therefore, it's become a part of my schedule. It's become a part of my life. It's not like, oh, okay. Am I gonna record an episode today? It's when am I gonna record the episode? It's making time for it and making sure that this is something I can do. I also want to talk about something that's not talked about enough. This podcast was so easy to do in the first 20 episodes. I was so ecstatic. And I even read a quote that said 95% of podcasts don't make it past 20. So my first goal with the podcast is get to 20 episodes as fast as possible. If you guys look at my first 20 episodes, they were very eh. They were like I kind of just pushed them out. They were cool things that interested me. But then, you got to episode 30 and then 32 and then 37 and all these little nuanced things when it's not anything a huge when it's not a huge milestone and you're kind of just going through the motions and putting in the reps, and when it seems like it's harder, it's not talked about enough. At a certain point, it's hard to stay consistent with this thing because life happens and you give yourself excuses. But part of the things that I've learned over 119 episodes, reading my books, being a disciplined person, is that discipline is something that you get better at like a muscle. You grow it. You can't be born somebody that's like, yeah, I'm ready to do this. I'm going to upload 119 episodes because there's going to be so many different variables or so many nuances with like, hey, were you able to upload this episode on time? I mean, I remember there were episodes that I barely got off, and I remember there were episodes that I wasn't even sure I wanted to record, but then after you always feel like, okay, I did it. I kept myself afloat. If you guys imagine I'm swimming, right, every week, and then when I get to Tuesday, if I don't have an episode, I'm drowning, and then once I upload that episode, boom, I'm back above the water. Just barely made it out, barely made it out. So That's always the goal, is to keep my head above the water no matter what. It doesn't have to be, okay, today I'm gonna record 19 episodes. No, that's not how it works. But it's today I'm gonna record an episode, so that way Tuesday I'm not gonna be stressing and I have the idea and I have the episode and I can keep my podcast afloat. When times got the hardest, it's awesome that I've done this podcast in my dorm rooms. So right now I'm in my apartment, but I did it my first 2 years in my dorm room. I made it work. If you want something bad enough, you're gonna make it work. Trust me, guys. So for me, when it was physically hard to get the camera out, to get all the equipment, to start editing, I had to remind myself that this is the duty that I made, and this is the contract I set with myself. If you want something bad enough, you're gonna get it. And I'm talking about bad enough. If your pain, I read something very interesting today. If your pain of inaction is more than your pain of action, then that's how you keep yourself disciplined. If you know it's going to hurt yourself in the long term, guys, if I don't upload a podcast episode, that is going to crush the center of my identity. And when I say identity, I don't mean the podcast. I mean the identity that I am a disciplined person. I have to put the inputs in. The reason that I can be confident, the reason that I can go outside and talk about all these things and say that I've done all these things is because I have done the work consistently. I've been disciplined. Every single week I've done it. I've kept my head afloat. And when I leave my apartment, I knew that I read my 10 pages. I uploaded my episode, and I can be confident in the world for a couple days until it's the next opportunity for me to show that I'm a disciplined person. This is something that I heard David Goggins talk a lot about, and it's interesting. It's this idea that your identity is something, or when you're a disciplined person, it's the center of your identity, and your identity has to keep up with your discipline. If I know, I can be the most confident person today, but then tomorrow, if I miss my workout, if I don't do the thing I said I would, it'll suck. It'll hurt me until the next time I actually do the thing. I think every single person should put themselves in a position to do something every single day, every single week, or a goal of theirs. When I say something small, like every single day, when I say something every single day, something small, I mean reading 10 pages, for example, or at the end of the cold shower, something small like that, because it's not extremely difficult, but over the long term, it helps you a lot. I'm somebody who likes to read. I'm somebody who thinks it's very worthwhile. So why not have this habit of reading every day? Instead of reading 50 pages one time every month, why not just put a lot of small inputs in and then read all these books behind me, right? I mean, it's so cool that I have this opportunity to interview some of these authors, to be put in a position to where I can mentally improve, because not only intelligence wise with what I'm reading, but mentally with my discipline, saying, okay, this is a tough 10 pages I've had to read, but I've had to do it. And guys, I've read 10 pages at 11:45 p.m., 15 minutes before my thing is due, right? At 12 a.m., I have to read another 10 pages. It's the next day. I've read pages when I've been exhausted. I've read pages when I've been extremely happy. I've read pages when I've been extremely busy. I've read pages on the train, on the bus, in the car, whatever, by any means. I've read 10 pages every day of my road trip with my dad, when I was sleeping in a tent in Yellowstone, when we were driving around in Utah, when we were driving through Colorado. Every single thing, I've read 10 pages. There's no excuse. Everybody has a time. Now, if you're saying every day I have to commit to 4 hours of work, I've tried to do that before. It's tougher because you have things that get in the way of that. But 10 pages, really? You spend an hour and a half scrolling on Reels, so you're telling me you don't have time to read? Discipline is something that can, without a doubt, be improved. People talk about it all the time, but the thing is, this is one of those unlearnable lessons that I had to experience on my own. I had to experience the fact that, wow, as a disciplined person, putting all these inputs in, actually doing the thing, has allowed me to increase the perception of my identity. As a person, I get to walk out in the world being confident, having a lot of self belief, because I always follow through on the promises that I say to myself. I talk about confidence as proof within yourself that you're able to achieve the things you said you would. So, proof. You can't have proof if you don't put inputs in. And you can't have inputs if you don't take action. So therefore, taking action every day on the things that I told myself I was going to do is going to be the reason that I'm confident out in the world. I put all of my work here in my room, on my computer, editing this podcast, doing my things, my newsletter, my community, just so I can be confident out in the world. Confidence is not something you can fake. That's something that I've learned, and that's something that a lot of my guests have said as well. It is hard, but it's a good hard. It's one of those things that change the perception of your identity, like I mentioned. If you're somebody who's maybe not confident in themselves, try having this plan. Try doing something for a longer period of time that might be easy day to day, but it's going to make you think in the macro, in the long term. Wow, that's kind of cool how I did that, right? Spending 10 minutes working on this Lego project. Guess what? After 2 months, you just imagine how much time that is, right? 10 minutes every day, 30, 300 minutes, 600. That's 10 hours, right? Hopefully my math is right. 10 hours of working on your Lego building just because you've devoted 10 minutes every single day. Isn't that crazy how that works over the long term? I think it's absolutely incredible. So guys, whether it's from reading books, whether it's for my podcast, uploading these episodes, having these conversations, there's so much that goes into the discipline. The discipline isn't even always performing the thing. It's like setting yourself up to perform the thing. I can't upload an episode with a guest if I don't have the guest on my show. I can't have the guest on my show if I don't reach out, and I can't reach out if I don't send an email, right? So it always starts with something. Put yourself in the best position to succeed in the thing that you're doing. If you want to be disciplined in something, make it easier for you to be disciplined. For me, maybe reading in the morning. For me, maybe it's uploading the podcast episode well in advance so it's not exactly Tuesday crunch time I have to get it done, right? Scheduling it in advance. Small things like that. Think about your situation. Think about how you can make it easier for yourself. If you guys think about it this way, it's going to be easier for you to find answers to your solutions as opposed to saying, I'm just not a disciplined person. Well, you say you're not a disciplined person because of the proof from the past. You say you're not disciplined because, yeah, I've tried to work out before. I've tried to do this thing, but it didn't work. It did work. It just you didn't work. And the thing is, it's not always going to be easy, but one of the most reassuring things for me is in the times when it's the hardest, that's when you prove to yourself that you can still do the thing. Like I mentioned, 15 minutes before it's 12 a.m., I would read. I would read when it was uncomfortable. I would read when my friends would be doing something, outside, and I would hear them and I'd be like, oh, what's going on? I really want to know, but no, I have to finish these pages. When it's the hardest, it's the biggest lessons for you to learn. So when it's easy to read, it's easy by definition. It's not going to be hard. There's going to be no friction. But when there's the most friction and you get past those 10 pages, you're going to look back and say, wow, Elon, I'm proud of you. You did that thing. You did it. It was super hard. You didn't want to. Those 10 pages it felt like you were reading 30 times slower, but you did it. And now you don't have to worry about it till tomorrow. And then when tomorrow comes, that's its own problem. You're going to figure it out. But you know what? Maybe I am a disciplined person. Maybe I just needed to reframe and understand what discipline really is. It's never gonna be easy. It's it's never gonna be easy, but it's always going to be worth it. So guys, that's all I want to talk to today about. Just making sure that the thing that you are trying to stay disciplined in is something A, that's worthwhile, and B, you can do for a long period of time. Right? Just think about what the thing is for you. If a big goal of you is to start your own business, yeah, you can just knock it out in a couple days. You can do that. Or if it's something more on the side, just say, hey, you know what? After work, I'm gonna devote 15 minutes to this business, and then I'm gonna write down maybe what I want to get done, what I want to accomplish, and see how that works for you. And you can always pivot. You can always work around it. If I was to do 20 pages every day, it'd be a lot harder for me. But I started with 10, and I even started with 2 minutes. So I started with before I even did 10 pages, I always did, okay, I'm gonna read for 2 minutes no matter what, and then if I don't want to read, I'm not gonna read. Then from there, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna read 10 pages. Two minutes didn't really get me to read too much, but 10 pages is cool. It's some information. So, yeah, guys, if you want to check out, I just made a new website. It's elongelfand.com. You can check out my podcast. You can check out my newsletter. You can check out my community. All that stuff's going to be on there, my story. It's pretty cool. So, go check it out. It's on any platform. Just go Safari, Chrome, whatever, and elongelfand.com. It's also going to be linked in the description below. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Peace.